Former MP Duminda Silva and 4 others sentenced to death in Bharata Lakshman murder trial. Court grants approval to exhume the remains of late journalist Lasantha Vikramatunga. Commander of Security Forces in Jaffna says that national security is their primary responsibility. A revelation in Parliament that Udayanga Veeratunga has been issued a general passport.
Hello there, very good evening to all our viewers. You're watching Primetime News. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studio here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight, I am Joel Outscored.
And I'm Dasni Atalda. Let's start off with a look at tonight's top stories.
5 of the accused, including former parliamentarian Duminda Silva, were sentenced to death by the Colombo High Court over the murder of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra and 3 others. The case was taken up before a trial at bar.
The case, which was heard for nearly 9 months, was pronounced as a divided judgment. While the head of the 3-judge bench, Shiran Gunaratne, pronounced that the accused were innocent and should be cleared of all charges, Judges Padmini N. Ranawaka and MCGS Moraes issued the death sentence to Duminda Silva and 4 others. Issuing the verdict, Padmini N. Ranawaka informed that former MP Duminda Silva had led the attack. She also informed the judicial medical reports had confirmed that the former MP had been under the influence of alcohol at the time. While issuing the verdict, High Court Judge Padmini N. Ranawaka also noted that the 4 victims, including Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, were murdered with the same firearm, and it was one which belonged to the LTTE. The sentence was handed down on former parliamentarian Duminda Silva, Anura Tushara Dimel, Chaminda Ravi Jainath, alias Temadagoda Chaminda, Sarat Bandara and Priyanta Janaka Bandara. It was revealed during the hearing that Priyanta Janaka Bandara remains missing. The verdict determines that the other 8 accused in the murder were innocent and that they be released. When facts were inquired, Duminda Silva had reiterated that he does not recall any memory of the incident. However, court still remained of the stance that despite Duminda Silva not being able to recall the incident, it had been confirmed that Duminda Silva did lead the attack.
We will not get our father back, but we worked hard for 5 years to get justice. I appeared in court every day and cried before the cameras not to make any interference. We only expressed the grief in our hearts to everyone. Of all the media, it was Sirasa that stood by me from the day the hearing began till the end. We got a correct verdict today only because a new president was elected to the country and the rule of law was protected. We are not as inhumane to be happy by looking at the troubles of others. But in the end, the misery that my mother and I suffered were given justice today. There wasn't a night we did not cry. There wasn't a night we did not think about it. There wasn't a day when we were not sad. Even today, when I go home, I hear my father's voice. I believe that just like I received justice today, that the other murder cases like Lasantha Vikramatunga, journalists Eknalikoda and Wasim Tajuddin will all be given justice. Then I believe that their loved ones too will be able to breathe a sigh of relief.
The High Court has ordered that the accused who was sentenced to death be held at the Valikada prison until the sentence comes into effect.
Here is a look back at the events that transpired following the murder of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra.
Colombo was heated up on the 8th of October 2011 with the local government elections. Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, who was in the process of visiting polling centres, was shot dead in the Vaipula junction in Mulleriava around 3:30 in the evening. Three individuals who were with him at the time, Jalabdin Mohammed, Emmanuel Kumaraswamy and Damit Darshan Jayathilaka, were also killed. Allegations regarding the murder were levelled against a group including Duminda Silva, who was a parliamentarian at the time. Bharata Lakshman Premachandra was an advisor to the president with regard to trade unions at the time of his demise. Late Bharata Lakshman Premachandra commenced active politics from Kolonava in 1979 and entered parliament in the year 1994. He was recognized as a trade union activist. While the mortal remains of Bharata Lakshman were being cremated at the Umagilya grounds on the 12th of October, his daughter commenced her battle seeking justice for her father's death. Hirunika entered politics in her pursuit for justice for her father's death. With prolonged investigations and with legal proceedings at the magistrate's court, she stood firm with regard to her objective. When Duminda Silva was named as a suspect of the case, attempts were made by him to obtain some relief by saying that he has no memory of the incident. Hirunika reached a milestone in her struggle when she was selected to the Provincial Council on the 8th of January 2015. She also rendered her support to presidential common candidate at the time, Maithripala Sirisena. She was a powerful figure in the presidential campaign and was a direct challenge to the government at that time. Indictments were filed at the High Court against 13 individuals, including Duminda Silva, on the 3rd of March 2015.
The former president pressured my mother and I to stop this case. We did not do so.
Hirunika, who entered parliament through the last general election, continued her struggle to ensure justice for her father's murder, and that struggle is now at a juncture where the wrongdoers have been handed down the capital punishment.
There can be no peace without justice. There can be no justice without truth. And there can be no truth unless someone rises up and tell you the truth. Keeping that in mind, today we are joined by United National Party parliamentarian Hirunika Premachandra. Hirunika, given the outcome of the court's determination on your father's murder back in 2011, how do you feel as a daughter?
If you asked me these questions 4 years ago, I'll tell you I'm over the moon. But now I think it comes with the maturity and with the, with the time. Today I saw the other party and their loved ones crying and weeping, and I felt sorry for them for some reason. I felt sorry for them, I guess, because I remembered those times when how I cried, how my mother was, how my mother was weeping, how we struggled. People used to say that, I had a deal with them, I took money from them, so many things. But now I can proudly say it's not true, it's all false.
You fought for justice for 5 years. Is this not what you aspired for? Is this not what you wanted? The perpetrators for your father's killing to be punished?
Yeah, this is what I wanted, definitely. Not only for my case, even if we take Lasantha Vikramatunga, Eknaligoda, Thadudeen, even for those cases, I think, the justice should be prevailed.
When your father was killed, you were merely the daughter of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra. But today you stand proud as a member of parliament. Is it not your responsibility to ensure that justice is meted out for all those cases that you mentioned, Lasantha Vikramatunga, Wasim Tajuddin, Eknaligoda? Is it not your responsibility?
I'm going to stand by them for those cases, because I think without anything, without any power in my hand, I fought with the judiciary system, I fought with the previous government, and now looking back at what I did, I'm very proud of myself, because those days I had many threatening orders. I had people calling me and ordered me to shut my mouth, but I never listened to them. I was so radical and I had this drive. I still do.
You fought for 5 years to bring justice to your father. But does this mean that your fight, your battle for justice comes to an end today?
Today is a new beginning to all the other cases which are still on hold.
Well, thank you very much, Parliamentary Hirunika Pemachandra. Well, a local hero for all women in Sri Lanka and a hero for the story of justice. I've been Shahan Jarampati and this is Newsline.
Mount Lavinia Magistrate Mohammed Sahabdeen granted permission to the Criminal Investigations Department today to exhume the remains of late veteran journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge based on a request made by the CID. Specialist Judicial Medical Officer at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital, Dr. Sunil Kumara, had submitted a report noting that Lasantha Wickrematunge was shot dead, adding that he had sustained 12 gunshot wounds to his body. However, according to the report submitted by Professor Mohan Silva, who performed the surgery on Lasantha Wickrematunge, his death was not caused by gunshot wounds. Therefore, the Criminal Investigations Department informed court that based on the advice of the Attorney General, the remains of late Lasantha Wickrematunge will be exhumed and re-examined under the supervision of a board of medical officers. The remains of Lasantha have been buried in Boralla. Orders were issued for the exhumation. It will be done on the 27th of this month at 8 a.m. as scheduled by the CID. It was requested that a special board of judicial medical officers be present during the exhumation. That too was approved by court. Meanwhile, the former army officer who was in remand custody in connection to the incident was further remanded. The case is to be taken up on the 22nd of this month. The court also granted permission to question former DIG Vasco Navardhana with regard to the murder of Lasantha Wickrematunge as per a request made by the CID.
It was revealed in Parliament today that a general passport has been issued to former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia, Udayanga Weeratunga, instead of a diplomatic passport.
We cancelled all diplomatic passports of their family and gave them general passports after they arrived in the country. If he is needed to the country, if he is attached to a scandalous deal such as the MiG aircraft deal, if he is a suspect to a murder, if he is connected to weapons deals that brought disrepute to the nation, and if the courts are in search of him, and if investigations are underway at the FCID, I would like to ask under which circumstances has he been given a general passport by the Department of Immigration and Emigration, which after all is a state-owned and controlled institution. Even if you travel overseas and lose your passport, we will make arrangements to get you a passport. There was no court order handed down preventing the issue of a passport. If there was a court order issued, we would have acted accordingly.
The 70th anniversary celebrations of the United National Party will be held on Sunday.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe engaged in an inspection of the Campbell grounds in Colombo today, which will host the anniversary celebrations. We are planning to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the UNP in a grand way. We are a party that created history. We need to thank those who created history, and then we need to speak about our future as well.
The
UNP is a party that is susceptible to change. On various occasions we have altered our programs to face the challenges faced by the people. The point that I need to stress that with the 70th anniversary, the UNP will reaffirm our commitment to adapt to face the challenges that come before our nation. I can say with confidence that we will bring in a massive crowd that cannot be rivaled by any other party. We made a sacrifice for the nation. We sacrificed when we agreed to form a national government. As the Prime Minister said, we came to power not to rule the country, but to change it. This is not a competition with anyone. We see our actions as a sacrifice we make on behalf of the nation.
අපේ රට වෙනුවෙන් කරන කැපකිරීමක් කියලා අපි හිතාගෙන මේ වැඩේ කරන්නේ. ඒ නිසා කිසිම කෙනෙක් එක තරංගයට නෙවෙයි කරන්නේ.
Well, those were the views were expressed prior to the 70th anniversary celebrations of the United National Party, which will be held on Saturday.
Still in local news, spokesperson of the United National Party, Minister Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, convened a media briefing today.
I must mention that no one can stop the victory of the United National Party in the upcoming elections for the next 10 to 15 years. The SLFP and His Excellency the President, as the leader of the party, carries out politics to establish a government. We too have the right to establish a government. The UNP too has that right. Therefore, we will move forward with this right. Irrelevant of the different criticisms, the objective we have is to provide the most benefits to the people of this country through a national government. Journalists questioned the General Secretary of the SLFP as to whether he will attend the UNP convention. People arrived at the SLFP anniversary celebrations when Mahinda and his group had asked people not to go to Kurunagala. The SLFP has showed that they stand with the party and not with various individuals. Members of the SLFP will not take part in the convention. However, there is a possibility for those who are invited to go for it or just one individual to represent the party will take part. Kabir Hashim has invited me to take part. I was told that both Mahinda Amarveera and myself will be invited during cabinet meetings. When we invited them, they took part. So therefore, we will take part as well.
State Minister Lakshman Yapa Abewardene convened a media briefing today. The government should work in a manner that would not damage the policies of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Therefore, we intend on giving our policy framework to the United National Party. Since the policy framework of the United National Party has already been passed, they are in a better position to discuss our frameworks and programs. It is following these discussions that each of our plans would be presented. That is how it should be done, rather than following the policies of a single party. By not deviating from the framework of a consensus government, we aim to work with each other. Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa expressed the following views at an event held in Anamaduwa to provide masons with construction equipment.
We deeply condemn the attack carried out on the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to Malaysia. Now, a faction of defeated politicians are saying that this attack is a threat to the country's security. So I would like to ask the same individuals about the incident that took place during the previous regime when one of the henchmen of Mahinda Rajapaksa carried out an attack on the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to Britain, Chris Nonis. Wasn't that too a threat to national security then?
The 100-day initiative commenced yet another project today that would revitalize once barren farmlands.
The Gammadda 100-day initiative.
Day 51.
Parakum yugaya yalisiyat nagainawa Sirachata mulu rate sakuntiya puda denawa.
The farmers of villages around the Gangayaya village in Amblipitya have to go through many hardships to secure the water that they receive from the Udavalava reservoir. The reason behind their hardships is this canal that is in a dilapidated state. Water that is flowing through this canal gets wasted as it leaks out along the way.
Due to the leak, the water that flows to Amblipitya reduces. We informed the matter to everyone possible and nothing happened. That is why we asked your organization to do this. For 15 years, this canal has remained in the state.
The project under the Gammatha 100 Days initiative will see the renovation of the canal that runs from Udavalava to Angunakola Palasa. The project, which is being funded by the Sri Lanka Export Credit Insurance Corporation, brought a smile to the faces of the Ambalipitia villagers.
This leaking water is the courage and the strength of the people of Gangayaya. Their strength gets washed away into the soil.
We got to know about this program through Newsfirst. We decided that this is indeed a benevolent deed and that we need to be a part of it. The guidance and the directives to this is provided by our Minister of Finance, Ravi Karunanayaka. This is not a task that we carry out simply for the people of Gangayaya. There are benefits of this to the farmer of Angunakola. Since the damage can be reduced, the water can be obtained by farmers of Angunakola as well.
The entry route to the Warala village in Bibila, which was constructed through the Gammatha 100 Days initiative, will be vested in the public tomorrow.
Your children too will be blessed as a result of the task that you are carrying out. There are many media institutions, but as farmers, we only watch sales.
Moving on to a story that made it to the headlines this evening, Commander of Security Forces in Jaffna, Major General Mahesh Senanayake, said today that national security is now their prime responsibility. The Major General expressed the following while addressing a media briefing that was held at the Palali Army Camp yesterday.
Journalists were also given the opportunity to examine the new housing project in Kirimale, Jaffna that is being constructed for the displaced persons who are currently living in shelters. These lands were once part of the Army High Security Zone. However, housing schemes of this nature are being constructed after lands were freed and returned to civilians. The 100 houses that are being constructed are to be handed over to 100 displaced families.
Ensuring national security is the primary responsibility of this base. This is the Palali Army Cantonment. This is not a high security zone. We no longer need to use the term high security zone because there is no war. The Palali Army Camp extended across 11,626 acres in 1996. This was due to the operational requirements and because of security concerns. Today, our camp area has been reduced to 4,410 acres. We have returned over 7,210 acres of land to the people.
The Army Commander also responded to questions raised by journalists with regard to army camps.
Our concept is to move camps when necessary, not shut them down or reduce its troops. I am saying this with much assurance. I assure you that we have not shut down any camps. What belongs to the people must be given to the people without becoming an issue to us. That is what's currently being done.
The 9th International Research Conference, organized by the General Sir John Kothalavala Defence University, got underway in Colombo today.
International Research Conference, held under the theme Professional Integration for a Secure Nation, saw the participation of local and international scholars, researchers as well as practitioners.
Neither the government nor the security forces can single-handedly confront the multiplicity of threats. They need the support of all professionals to work together to ensure a secure nation for the younger generations and generations yet to come. Sri Lanka has learned that insecurity is generated by poor representation, limiting of freedom, maldevelopment, societal anomalies, the limiting of opportunity, and the non-satisfaction of reasonable aspirations have often provided the conditions for fissures that provide national security nightmares. We need simultaneously to correct systematic flaws that inhibit freedom and to strengthen existing structures that make for a healthy democracy, including where necessary, amendment of relevant legislation and creating institutional arrangements that safeguard these rights. Our approach has been and will be holistic. We stick to the fundamental principles of good governance. We are determined to put in place the checks and balances that ensure our people and our nation against system abuse. The foundation for democratic change has been laid, and we are determined to build a strong edifice that will stand the test of time.
The Science and Technology for Society Forum 2016 was held in Colombo this morning under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The forum was held as an outcome of the Science and Technology Forum held in Kyoto, Japan last year, which Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe attended.
Science and technology is one subject like cricket which can bring the region together. Sri Lanka's plans to achieve the status of a high-income economy in the next 2 decades. The rapid economic development required to achieve this goal depends on innovation and the promotion of science and technology. Having talked to our scientists, many of whom are dedicated to social betterment through the introduction of science and technology, although the spirit is willing, our research infrastructure is yet quite weak. We need to have the same level of enthusiasm that a music concert, a cricket match, or the Galle Literary Festival generates among the public in the field of science too.
Today's symposium is intended to further strengthen bilateral relations between Japan and Sri Lanka. I myself will do my best to build strong cooperative relationship in science and technology. The goal of this symposium is to foster excellence in science and technology for the future prosperity of Sri Lanka.
A body of a 6-year-old girl who has died under suspicious conditions has been found in a forest area in Sampur, Trincomalee. The parents of the victim, who was a resident of the Nilakani area in Sampur, had informed the police this morning that the girl had gone missing. The body had been found thereafter when search operations were conducted by the police with the support of the area residents. The police suspects that the 6-year-old girl had been raped before being murdered. Further investigations are underway into the incident by the Sampur police.
Moving on to more news. Parents and members of the All Girls Union of the Uduville Ladies College in Jaffna have been protesting for a number of days against the removal of the school's principal.
Academic activities at the Uduville Ladies College in Jaffna were carried out under police protection today. Police officers on duty at the location were seen capturing video footage of the old girls of the school engaging in a demonstration. The Lanka magistrate arrived at the location amid tight police security. The former principal of the school will turn 60 years old this year. Therefore, we decided to appoint a new principal to the school. He attended every meeting as well. We appointed the new principal yesterday. There have been 8 principals at the school. One of the principals was 75 years old. It is the recommendation of the administration board that the former principal who turns 60 should be removed. But the members of the board consist of a few, including Father Thiagaraja and his wife. It is the view of the students that this principal should serve for longer. This is a school which is maintained by the American Mission and has no involvement of the Provincial Council. This committee must be immediately dissolved. The school, founded by Harriet Winslow, was established in 1824 and boasts of the first girls' hostel in South Asia.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dasnia Powder.
And I'm Joel Outskone. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder that you could keep abreast of the latest and trending stories on our award-winning website simply by typing www.newsfirst.lk. Take care. Good night.